All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to this Tomorrow's Talent Series Q&A. My name is Jana Toomey and I'm an assistant director here at Michigan Tech Center for Educational Outreach. Tomorrow's Talent Series is all about showcasing in-demand careers through virtual job shadowing videos, Q&As, and curriculum resources. So today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Ben Metzger, and he is an information security specialist. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out Ben's video yet, make sure you head on over to our Tomorrow's Talent Series website and give it a watch. So hi, Ben. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, John, it's good to be here.
Awesome. All right, for all of you folks heading at home, watching this live, if you have any questions for Ben, feel free to use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions. So with that, let's get right into it. And very simply, can you just tell us a little bit about what your career as an information security specialist entails?
Sure. Yeah, information security is a huge area in general. And so there's opportunity to kind of specialize in whatever area you want to. But for me, I specialize in the cloud security workplace. And I spent a lot of time here discovering different issues out in the cloud and working with different teams to get those issues resolved and fixed in a timely manner.
Awesome. And how did you get started in this field, and what was your path to your current position?
Yeah, my path here is interesting. I started as an intern the summer after my first year of college at Tech, and I started in a very different area. It was still in IT, but it was doing some monitoring and automation. And it was through a couple different internships and meeting various different people and job shadowing where I kind of worked my way towards security. Finally, my last summer before I graduated, I managed to get an internship in the security space, and they were gracious enough to offer me a full-time employment opportunity after I graduated. So that was kind of how I got here. I'm sure there's some other paths or options to get here, but that was the one I took.
Awesome. So what kind of education or training does this position require?
It really depends on the company and it depends on who you're working with or who you're working for. Some companies have very strict requirements of different certifications, but from what I've found, the more important thing is some education background, like learning how to learn. So a degree of pretty much any kind in information security would be a starting point, and then from there you can kind of get some different experience and work on getting some different internships or various jobs that'll kind of lead you towards the right direction. There's also some different certifications that you can get that will definitely make you a little bit more appealing to a hiring department, but for the most part, experience is key.
So you said that you didn't start off in security. What kind of drew you towards that part of this field?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I had a couple different internships, and through that, I kind of just learned that security is what I like. It's provides all sorts of different opportunities that I really enjoy, like different learning opportunities almost every single day that I'm on the job. And it just has all sorts of different pieces to offer that were really appealing to me that I got a little taste of through an internship.
What are some of those aspects that you think are your favorite parts of your position?
Yeah, for me, it's the challenges and the different things on a daily basis. Going into IT, I was a little weary because I didn't want to be sitting at a computer staring at a screen all day, every day in my own little bubble. And this position has really provided me the opportunity to try new things, learn different skills every day, really, and then work with different teams and different people to try to build towards a more secure space or environment and have everybody happy, everybody's stuff working, and keep the bad guys out.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, kind of that picture that some of us have in our head of what it's like to be in IT, or how they're kind of portrayed in TV or movies, where they're just like in a dark corner of a basement of a huge building, and they never like to talk to people and they never come out. So, what is kind of the balance between independent work and working on a team and working with others for you?
Yeah, security is interesting because I really think that it does a good job of blending those two things where there's a lot of times where I can be doing some scripting or coding and I'm kind of heads down on my own. But there's just as much, if not more time that I spend working with my teammates on something, digging through or finding something and then following that trail to see where it goes. And then including the right people and kind of working in more of a team space to make sure we can get problems resolved as they come up. So I think there's no matter what you like, if you're shooting for more of the independent space, I think in IT and in security you could definitely find that. But if you're kind of hesitant because of that, like I was, don't be afraid. There's plenty of other opportunities as well to make sure that you're kind of on your feet, running around, talking to different people, and not just sitting at a desk on your own all day.
So, what are some of the challenging aspects of your job, or what problems are you working to solve?
That's a good question. I ask myself that sometimes too. It really seems like every day is something new, and so a lot of what I do is using various tools to scan our environments and our cloud workspace and just discover what's going on out here. What are some different things that might raise a red flag or warrant some extra investigation from myself or the team that I'm a part of. And so every day is something new. We don't always know what we're walking into when we log on for the day or go to the office, but um, it's always something.
So, you've talked a little bit about you mostly work with on the cloud and you monitor all these different accounts, but what kind of information are you working to keep secure?
All of it, really. A big piece of what we do on our team is categorizing the information that our company handles. And so we have decided to go down a route of 4 different categories of information, that being restricted, confidential, internal, and public. That's what we consider it. Different companies might do things a little bit different way. But for each of those categories, um, we have different requirements for how that information has to be stored and what different things go on to make sure that it's protected. So in the restricted area, there's only going to be a handful of high level people that should have access to this. And we want to make sure that that's like the most protected that we have, and that we don't have anything leaked. But on the other hand, we have systems that are designed to be public, right? When you go online, you just look up a website that's designed to be out there so anybody can get to. So we also have to make sure that nothing we're doing is causing those websites or those public facing tools to be locked down for any reason or accessible.
So some of those restricted information, is that like credit card information, or things like that?
Well, sort of. So with the 4 that I mentioned, restricted information would be more of the company secret type things, where the company's going, big stock moves, things like that, that only like the CEO and a handful of high level leaders would know. The confidential information would be more of the personal information, credit card information, things like that, where it might be available to a handful of employees, but for the most part, it's pretty locked down. And then internal would be just general things that are available to anyone in the company, such as announcements about our fitness center or something like that, where it's available for anyone that should have access to it in our company, but not generally open to the public.
Wow, thank you so much for that description. That just really broadened what I was envisioning as considered information. So that was
Yeah. Yep.
So in the video, you had mentioned Prisma as a tool for scanning the accounts and letting you know if anything was vulnerable. So
Mhm.
what do you mean by vulnerable? And could you give us some examples of what you're looking? for with that system?
Sure. So a vulnerability, if you think of it in terms of like your health, right now we're in this crazy time where we have certain people that are more vulnerable to the virus than other people, right? It's very similar in the IT space where a vulnerability is just a way that somebody could get in, something bad could happen, and so you try to protect yourselves against those. In real life, a vulnerability, you might wear a mask to protect yourself. In the IT space, we have a little bit more that goes on than you just being able to put a mask on your face, but we have all sorts of different things that we can do to bring these vulnerabilities to light in our company to make sure that we can get proper patches in place or change various things to make sure that our systems are as locked down as they can be.
So you also discussed consulting as one of your job responsibilities in video. Are there
Mhm.
certain standards that all new projects have to meet before they are deployed?
Yeah, so this is another one that's going to vary a little bit company to company, but for us, we have a list of um, findings in those vulnerabilities. We categorize them in different areas, kind of like we do the data or information. It has different fields that because it falls in this one category, these other things happen, right? And so the same thing happens when we have different vulnerabilities that are discovered. We have some that are major or critical vulnerabilities, and these are required to be fixed before they're allowed to go live or go public to launch the tool. Um, we have other ones that are low, which means like the probability of this happening is very, very, very small. And so those are things that sometimes companies are willing to accept that risk to be able to move forward and then circle back and get that fixed. So it's not necessarily something that would be required prior to launch, but definitely something that we want to keep an eye on as we go through the process.
Would you say there's any cybersecurity measure that's kind of deemed the most important feature of a website or project?
I don't know if there's one that would be deemed the most. Again, it really depends on what everybody's doing. In the healthcare space, obviously, you have HIPAA laws. Everybody's heard of HIPAA, which is basically your health information and privacy that you have, the laws that are around that to make sure that you're protected on that information, right? But in more of a retail environment, maybe that's your best kept secrets on how you make your product and what you're selling. And so that would really vary company to company, I think. But um, for the most part, security is kind of like a community, and we often try to work together to make sure that when we discover these high level critical vulnerabilities, we kind of work together with other companies or hospitals or whatever it might be to make sure that we have these processes locked down for everybody, but not just our own systems.
So you monitor accounts for all of these businesses, and we've kind of touched on some of these really important types of data that you're protecting. But do you have any advice as to how, like, just we can personally be safer with our information on the internet?
For sure. This is a broad field, and I could talk on this topic for hours alone. So I'll keep it short and sweet. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. I know Janet has my information, but yeah, for the most part, what you can do for yourself is just make sure that you're using complex passwords and passphrases. And what that means is something that's either really long and complex, so it has uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, special characters, things like that, as well as using different passwords for every account you're using. And I know that can sound super intimidating, because I know for me, I can't keep all that straight, right? I can't remember the password I use to log into my computer, far less 15 different ones for each different account, right? Um, but what you can do is use what's called a password manager. LastPass would be an example where it's something that saves all of your passwords. So you just need to remember one password to unlock this password manager. And then from there, it can log you into all these different systems so that you can keep your account secure without having to worry about forgetting your passwords. And that can be super helpful for a lot of different things.
I know sometimes I get frustrated when they make me change my password just because, oh, it wasn't enough characters, but
Yep, yep.
gotta stay safe. So circling back, you talked about how every day could bring something new and different for you. How has your job changed since you first started, and kind of how has it developed these last couple of years?
For sure. The one thing that we like to say in my team is that the one constant in technology is change. The only thing that stays the same is that it's always changing. Uh, and that's okay to me. I like the constant learning, the different things that come up. Um, so new tools are always coming in. Since I've started on the team, I've seen 3 new tools come into just our security space. And that's not including all the different projects that are being built out to meet the company's needs, right? For different tools or apps or websites that everybody's building. So that part of it, I think, is really neat. But it also gives a unique opportunity as far as learning all these different tools and then being able to have that experience in your back pocket if you decide to go elsewhere, or it makes you that much more marketable for future job opportunities.
Um, and where do you see the future of this field going?
The security field has got great demand right now, and I could guarantee it's going to have the same, if not greater, demand in the future. Um, when you look around, you see more and more of our lives becoming technology dependent. We've got screens everywhere. We've got um, computers that are running our bus systems. We've got all these different things that are happening around us, and the technology behind it is required to be secure. And the damage that can be done by the technology being insecure is getting greater and greater every day. If you think of what could happen if a traffic light was hacked, right? All the accidents that would be caused, or something like that, where with all of our smart homes, you're broadening the attack vector, which means like the amount of spaces that are open for bad guys to get in is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what that means is that security teams have to get bigger to support it, right? We need more intelligent people to make sure that we can protect against this and keep things locked down. So I only see the security space getting bigger and more valuable for companies as time goes.
In the future, what are some of the new responsibilities that you could take on, or new positions that you could take within cybersecurity?
For sure. I want to be careful with this in case my boss is watching, but I promise I'm not looking to leave anytime soon. No. There's all sorts of different positions that you can take in security. So if I just use my team as an example, there's a few of us that work in the cloud space, like I mentioned, where we're focused on Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, things like that, where it's all in the cloud. Um, but our team kind of has several separate sub teams that are all within security. So one would be the vulnerability assessment. They do all sorts of different scans across our internal systems in our data centers, as well as our internal company laptops. So every employee that has a computer that's connected to our network, they want to make sure that those are all safe, down to our heating systems that are internet connected, right? We want to make sure that there's no way for bad guys to get in there. So that's like the vulnerability scanning piece of it. We have what we call the SOC, the Security Operations Center. And this is where a lot of our security engineers will reside, and their main job is when something comes up, when a new vulnerability is detected or discovered, or when something bad happens, they're the first ones on it to figure out, okay, what's going on, who's into our system, what can they see that they shouldn't have access to. Their first goal is to lock them out, lock the bad guy out, make sure they can't get any deeper, and then do some forensic work of, okay, what happened, where did they get to, and making sure that all those holes are patched, and that we have the proper people in the chain to make sure that we take appropriate action after the fact. So that's just on our team here. But we have, there's several different ways to set up security teams, and you can get pretty crazy with different options you got out there. So um, any sort of interest, I guarantee there's some sort of job that you'll find interesting.
If you could use one word to describe people in this field, what would it be?
That's a tough one. I think the word I would use is unique, because there are just so many people out here. Another word we like to use on our team is the nerd fest. There are just so many smart people in a room, and everybody's got their own take on things, their own personality. There's a space for everybody, and because of that, you run into some pretty special people. But it's really neat, and I think it's an awesome place to be able to meet people that are way smarter than you are, and learn new things. So
And do you have any advice for students who might be interested in getting into this field?
yeah, I'd say just dive into the classes and the labs that you can get your hands on. There's all sorts of opportunities out there for high school and college students um, to just try new things. There's a company out there called Sands, and they like to do online lab experiments all the time, and they've got some pretty cool scholarship options for the winners of these challenges that they do. And so just get out and play, and don't be afraid to mess things up, or or to break something, because sometimes the best way you can learn is by failing. You make a mistake, and then you get to fix it. You get to go back and see what happened, what caused whatever you just did, and then work your way back out of it. And then you kind of learn not to do that again, and then you also learn about the inner workings of what that caused. So just get out there and play.
All right, and one last question. Is there anything else that you would like students to know about this field that we haven't discussed yet?
I just say, don't be afraid. It can be a little intimidating at first. I know it was for me, where I got into this field. I didn't really know a whole lot. I didn't know any people. But sometimes you gotta just jump in with both feet, and take every day as it comes. Don't be afraid to meet new people, try new things. It In my experience, everybody that I've met along the way is only there to help you get better, and to learn along the way. So ask those questions, meet cool people, expand your network. You can't go wrong.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for chatting with us today. I want to also thank our Tomorrow's Talent Series partners, the MySTEM Network, Upper Peninsula Michigan Works, Bay College, Gogebic Community College, and our CTE directors. For all those students watching out there, we have a lot more videos and Q&A sessions with other professionals in a wide variety of fields. So make sure you stop by our Tomorrow's Talent Series website and check those out. All right, Ben. Well, it's been a blast talking with you, and thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Absolutely, Jana. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.